Welcome everyone to Synchronous Online Teaching Strategies for Educators. My name is Theresa Wills. I'm an assistant professor at George Mason University and I teach in the math education department. The slides that you're seeing today, I have been teaching online for 10 years, specifically synchronous online teaching, which means we're all here at the same place and the same time. I've done this work with in-service teachers, pre-service teachers, and third graders, where I worked with a third grade class to go completely paperless for the whole year in math. And so they use these synchronous strategies in their class. I hope the variety of my experiences will work with you in your situation. This is an example of my normal. This is how I conduct my teaching these days. And I hope you can get some strategies and templates as you're adapting to your new normal. Anytime throughout today's sessions, if you have questions, please put them on the very last slide of the presentation. The very last slide is the virtual parking lot. And it is always the virtual parking lot because I want to make sure that I respect the importance of those in-the-moment questions, even if they're not necessarily related to the tasks that we're doing. At the top of slide 1, you'll notice there's a couple buttons. If you want to get first access to videos, even before I let people know that they're available, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow me on Twitter to find out when there's more PD opportunities and videos that have been posted out there. You can send me an email. And that last one, PD registration, that's where you will be able to sign up for additional trainings. Every Saturday, if you're a math teacher, I do Mather Days, where we do a rich task, a math routine, and I model the 5 practices for math discourse. Every Sunday, I'll start up a new session. Today's session 3. We're going to focus a lot on sorts, matching, and some ELL strategies. Next Sunday, part 4 is going to be all about classroom management and accountability. Like, how on earth do you manage students when they are in their own breakout rooms, being unsupervised? And how do you make it even more manageable than when you have small groups in your classroom? So that's coming up in part 4. On slide 2 is the program that I'm in. If you are interested in becoming a math specialist, this is how we conduct our classes, completely online, but very engaging, very hands-on, and very interactive. And slide 3 are comments from my actual students. The important thing to note here is that this is not just a theoretical training. This is what I do all the time. Students have actually enjoyed it and have great things to say about it. So hopefully that will motivate you to try out some new strategies. And then we're on to the gray slides. The gray slides will just continue to multiply as I get more information up here. Eventually, I might get around to synthesizing it on a web page, but these gray slides will always be here, which means if you are looking for the templates, if you're looking for recordings of previous sessions, if you're looking for blank slides of previous sessions or completed slides, or maybe just some tips on how do I create a breakout room, or how do you manage 2 windows, there's lots of videos in here and tips. And if you would join me down on slide 12, slide 12 is getting a little full, so for new information, you can come down to slide 13. I'd love for you to share your successes and celebrations. You do so by using a text box. I'm kind of making that little purple arrow dance at what the text box looks like. And you're going to share your successes and celebrations. We always, always, always start with this. It kind of mimics a morning meeting, which I would do with my students regardless of grade level, and it helps us connect as a community. Those of you who are here for level 2 or up, another reason you might use successes and celebrations is it gets your students to class early. Especially when you make a slide that they are eager to participate in. Maybe you create a Minecraft slide below it and you just give them time to get their sillies out and you give them time to put pictures of their avatars and like what lands they're working on and what they're building. They'll get to your class early so that they can participate in that, which is a fun little way of getting your students involved. All right, so I'm going to ask a couple of you to turn on your microphones and share out. Who had the daughter that moved out of her dorm and back home? How is it being home with your daughter?
Good morning. It is going good. I saw something online about just understanding it's like our college students are working a third shift. They wake up late, they work late in the night, but it's fun to have her home. We get a few meals together between both of our work. So yeah, it's wonderful.
It's nice that you're able to see kind of that silver lining of this, that you get special time with your daughter there. Awesome. Who just put together their slides for 10th graders? Tell us how that's going.
That's me, Theresa Kimberly Scott, and I was so glad to have. Can you hear me, Theresa?
Yep, sure can.
So I was so glad to have what you modeled for me because it worked really well.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear your successes with those slides next week. Um, let's see. Maryland was able to connect with students. How did you connect and how did that go?
Hi, I've been using an app and I've been able to text my families in their home language, and so they love it, and they've been able to share with me all their worries and uh, all the issues they're going through, and I found out that they're really stressed out about starting virtual learning this week. So um, it's been uh, it's been great to be able to talk to them and try to help them.
Thank you for sharing. And it looks like other people are interested in knowing the app, Marilyn. Would
All
you
right.
be able to type the name of the app in that chat box, and then you guys can network and be in touch with each other about those cool things?
Sure.
And Stephanie, my goodness, 38 virtual trainings. How are your trainings going? What are you doing?
Hi. Well, we have been on online training now for 3 weeks. I'm in California. So I'm the tech director for our district, and we have about 2,200 teachers, and we have about 2,000 other employees. So I was responsible for getting them all online in a matter of days because it was just, we were building the plane as we were flying it. So it was sink or swim. And so it was crazy. We usually use Google Hangout Meet for all of our online training. So I'm interested in seeing, it's just so happened I saw this on Twitter, and we're focusing on synchronous and asynchronous training this week. So I'm hoping this will help me organize my trainings for this week. So thank you very much.
Very cool. Glad to help out. All right, folks, so that's successes and celebrations. You can see we've already networked in different ways. We've already kind of checked in with people, and it's nice to be able to see everybody's voice. Even if there's not time to go through every single success, we can still celebrate it here on these slides. All right, let's dive into we're going to do science today, mostly because my kids were learning about this and I wanted to learn a little more. Join me on slide 14. This is an example of all of these, none of these, and we are going to see if we can figure out what the rule is for things inside of the circle. If you see something and you want to do one of the slides below, simply raise your hand, and the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people with hands up can go ahead and take those next slides. So if you would like to do one, go there. Otherwise, I'll work together on slide 14. So the first one I see is all of these have it, none of these have it. If you think you know what my rule is, you can type it in the chat box there. What do you think my rule is for slide 14? All right, yep, we got wings. So I don't want to do all the work. If you would like to do one of the slides below, go ahead and put up a hand. I'll let you know what slide number you have, and everyone else can go to it and try and guess your rule. Karen, you've got slide 15. Tamela, you have slide 16. Can we get 3 more lucky folks? Chelsea, you have slide 17. Raha, you have 18, and Trisha, you have 19. All right, as they are creating their slides, we will look between them and see if we can guess their rule. These have it and none of these have it. Alrighty, let's start with slide 15. If you think you know what this slide's rule is, go ahead and type it in the chat box. All right, we got a couple ideas. And the author of slide 15, go ahead and tell us what you were thinking. Okay, so Karen was thinking 6 legs. Let's head down to slide 16. And if the author would please turn on their microphone and just ask the group, what do you think my rule is? And then after you get a couple responses in the chat box, just tell us what your rule is.
Yes, this is Tamala. What do you think my rule is for slide 16? Those are all great answers, and those who chose they hop are correct. Thanks.
Awesome. All right, slide 17, author, go ahead and take over.
What do you think these all have in common? 18. I was also trying to get the 6 legs as well. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, very cool. All right, slide 18, author, go ahead.
Hi, what do you think my role is? That's funny. I was going more towards like they walk rather than fly.
Oh, that makes total sense now that I put it that way. Awesome. And slide 19, would the author go ahead and take over?
What do you think my rule is? Lots of great answers. I chose has a backbone since it says, what do I have?
Oh, very cool. All right, folks, so this is a slide that you can use on a lot of content areas. Clearly, you could, in social studies, put major historical figures inside the circle and outside. In math, we could put different numbers there. Let me put the pedagogy out to you all. How might you use this with English language learners, some advantages, and how could you use this in other content areas? Go ahead and turn on your mic and tell us what you're thinking. Go ahead, Kimberly.
We could definitely use this for comparing characters, either their traits, or we could do something with direct and indirect characterization. We could also use this with author's craft, like we could put in text boxes various ways that authors convey meaning, for example, figurative language. And then in the middle of the circle, we could put a text box with an excerpt from the text and ask our high schoolers to identify which figurative devices are at work in that excerpt. That's just a couple I'm thinking of right away, but I love this.
Very cool. What else? Go ahead, Donna.
So I'm thinking how you could use this in word study, either with words that have a spelling pattern in common or words that have a conceptual meaning in common.
Ooh, very cool. Love all the literature side of this. Raha mentioned affixes too. Are there any affordances with this activity for working with ELL students? Go ahead, Karen.
With working with ELLs, I like this activity a lot because even if they don't have the language to describe the categorization, they can formulate the categorization and then have other people build that language for them. So we can see what they're talking about through pictures instead of relying solely on language.
Awesome. And the more that you do this activity, the more it's like, I know what to expect because it becomes a routine. Stephanie, go ahead.
I could see putting different pictures of different types of energy, kinetic and potential, and having students sort the pictures as far as which ones are kinetic and which ones are potential.
Very cool. Yeah, so this one here, I know that when we did this activity, many of you were writing in the chat box. Many of you were reading what was in the chat box. Many of you were listening to the person who was explaining the rule. And if you were an author, in this case, you were talking. So we're trying to bring in some of those elements, but again, have it at low risk here. So, alrighty, let's, oh yeah, there's the little sentence frames there also. Let's head into some breakout rooms and try another activity. On slide 20, it is the reverse, which one doesn't belong, Tricia? That's exactly where my mind was going with it. Slide 20 is just my little slide here. It's to remind me that I want, certain size groups, and I want them in there for about 10 minutes. It might be a little longer today. Just I got to feel this one out. But here's something that I've done differently today. The student directions are on slide 21. If you come on down here, the link for directions will take you right to Google Translator. And I know Google Translator isn't perfect, but it is far more perfect than not having it. So I'm going to go ahead and use the affordances of it. And if you click on directions, you can change the directions into any language you want and have it read aloud to you. And so this is really nice for things that are not content centered, like reading this is not part of the science content, so I just want to jump right ahead to the directions and make sure that's clear to all of my students. In your small groups, I'll give you a chance to read it. You're going to watch a video on frogs. There is the option to turn on closed captioning and select a language. Again, it's not perfect, but it's far better than not having it at all. You're going to watch the video, and you're going to complete a sort. You'll notice there's different rainbow colored slides below. Those are for your different teams. So if you're in group 1, you're on purple, group 2, you're on red, so on and so forth. And what you're going to do is you're going to learn about frog life cycles, and actually a lot more about frogs than you're probably interested in. And you're going to move these photos over to the boxes. And you're also going to move the name to the box. The name also links to Google Slides and will read it to you in any language. So we can get both the content language of English and another language in the same activity. So in groups, kind of explore this, see what you might do with it. And then on the second slide is blank. Y'all can do anything you want with this. If you want to find another video, if you want to see if you can use this template with the time left over, you absolutely can. So that's your task, to explore and see what happens. I'm going to set up breakout rooms now. Alrighty, and you're automatically going to be placed in breakout rooms. Again, if you need to know what group you're in, just head over to Collaborate, and I'll also check in with you. This groups will start in 3, 2, 1, now. Hello there, you all are group 6. You're on the blue slides, starting on slide 32. Hi there, you all are group 5. So when you're ready to go to your slide, it starts on slide 30, you're green.
Welcome. So now we have to watch the video, I guess. Okay.
The life cycle of a frog. Frogs belong to a group of animals called amphibians. Amphibian means 2 lives. Amphibians spend their lives in the water and on land. All amphibians begin
1. Haga clic en el enlace al video. 2. Active los subtítulos y seleccione un idioma. 3. Mira el video. 4. Complete el tipo de diapositiva a continuación. 5. Crea tu propio tipo de plantilla. Renacuajo. Eggs. Huevos. Eggs. Huevos.
The life cycle of a frog. Frogs belong to a group of animals called amphibians. Amphibian means two lives. Amphibians spend their lives in the water and on land. All amphibians begin their lives in water with gills and tails. As they grow, they develop lungs and legs for their life on land. Frogs begin their lives in the water as eggs and then tadpoles, and when they are fully developed, they live on land. Although frogs live on land, their habitat must be near swamps, ponds, or in a damp place. This is because they will die if their skin dries out. Instead of drinking water, frogs soak it into
Hi, Michelle. I hope I got all the science questions right.
Yes, you did. I was just trying to, because we were just watching the movie. I think everybody's watching the videos, and then we're going to come back and talk. But yeah, I'm really excited because I was like, oh, I didn't think about doing this. This is kind of cool. Like, it's kind of amazing you're doing this on Sundays and Saturdays, and like, and then you have a beautiful family. Do you have 2 kids?
Yep, first and second grade. So things are fun right now.
Are you home doing this? Or are you at?
Yeah.
You're not at school.
No,
Okay.
all the buildings that I would possibly go to are shut down. So I'm in my basement.
Wow. Yeah, that's where I go.
Are there 2 pictures of eggs in this?
There's eggs and then there's the eggs all together.
Oh, we're so sorry.
Maybe this is second.
That frog spawn.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, were you going to switch?
Oh, sorry.
Adult frog. Oops. But this wouldn't go. I think the tadpole legs goes over here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's what I thought too.
I just get the pictures going. Oops.
Right.
And then I'll... So then on this next slide, I guess we do a different cycle, or do we do different pictures?
On slide 29.
On the next one, I just wanted you all to be able to get experience what it's like to find a video, and you can, all I did was take screen captures of certain moments in the video. So you could even like find this moment and double check with your language. But if you wanted to play around with it while we get everyone to finish their slide, you've got a blank template.
So when you say screen capture, do you do like snag it?
Yep. There's Snagit, there's Alt Print Screen, there's I work on 3 different computers at any given time so I can support my students, but Mac, PC, and Chromebook, all have little different ones, but essentially the same thing.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Yeah, I never thought of taking a screenshot of a
Hi there, Group 6. How's your sort going?
So
far, so good.
Yeah, we're doing the sequence. Is that okay?
Yeah. And have you clicked the links for the words?
I clicked on tadpole just to see what came up, and it's the definition, the pronunciation, and an opportunity to translate it.
Right, and the nice thing is it will read it to you in English and it will read it to you in another language. So if you need that auditory, which I know I need when I'm learning languages, it'll do both of those.
So this is a lot of front-loading work on your part just to make sure you have all this embedded correctly.
It is, but the next thing we're going to talk about is how you have your students actually start to take over the work depending on grade level and, you know, depending where they are. Students can, I had my 3rd graders when I was in that class, like learn to highlight it, put it in Translate, and they created virtual dioramas where they did these exact same things.
On is act. I think that's what the video was showing. Does anyone think differently? I'm okay.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And if you go to the timestamp, 2 minutes 37, it started with an egg, and then a few seconds, 10 seconds later, and then the spawn. So
And that's the third picture down.
Parking lot, and we were talking about how are you embedding the direct links to the Google Translate words. Like I know you can just put Google Translate and then the kids could type it in and make it happen. But are you cutting and pasting it in and then taking that Google Translate link into the hyperlink?
Hi there, group 3.
Oh, she's back.
Hi, let's go ahead and do it. Come on down to slide 27. Because it looks like you finished your sort. If everyone wants to take over a text box, type in any word you want. And then I'll show you how to do the hyperlink. You're going to highlight it and copy it.
Go upstairs, I got your stuff. There you go. Go upstairs and go
And
get your
what
change,
you want to
okay?
do is actually open Google Translate, not just use the one that like appears on your screen. So you would go to translate.google.com. And when you type it or you paste it in, it'll automatically give you a new link. You'll probably notice at the top, it'll be like translate.blah, blah, 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 and your word, which in my case is happy. And I copy that URL and paste it in the URL box. If anyone wants me to share my screen to show you, I'd be happy to, but if we get someone who knows how to do this, do you have those directions typed up? Not yet. I hope to have a video out really, really soon of doing that. I mostly needed to try this one out first. Yeah, so Cheryl, you'll see that you already have it, and your link ends on the word happy. So I know it's going to have happy. And you can highlight happy and link it. Yeah, and then it automatically comes up with your directions in it, with your words in it, and so much less work for the students to have to do.
And it translates, oh my gosh, it translates to like a million languages. Okay, cool.
And
so
it reads to you in a lot of languages.
Oh, it does the audio too. Okay, I haven't played with this before, so that's cool. And then they can, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Theresa, what page is the parking lot on? You said the last page?
The very last page, yep.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the main room. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right, I went ahead and muted your microphone, so if you want to be able to talk, remember just to turn it back on. And for our whole group conversation, I am actually going to share my screen with you all. Sometimes I choose to share it, sometimes I don't. It kind of depends on the activity that I'm doing. But you can watch from Collaborate Ultra if you like. And there's a couple things I want to make sure that we are all seeing. Our whole group discussion is on slide 34. Slide 34 is what we're going to spend the time talking about, but also a couple quick tutorials. So what are some of the affordances that you experienced because of the synchronous environment? If you have some affordances, maybe you saw things with self-checking, maybe with language, maybe with access. What are some affordances that you experienced? Go ahead and put your hand up or turn on your microphone and share that with us. What are some things that the technology allowed you to do? Stephanie, go ahead. Stephanie, just go ahead and turn on your microphone. I had muted them all previously.
Can you hear me now?
I sure can.
Okay. So I like the idea of the small groups because it allows for the discussion to be a little bit easier for students instead of being in a group of 35 or 36 and to be a group of 5, and they feel a little bit more comfortable about sharing. And then it also kind of puts makes them responsible, to say something in a small group because there is so few of them. So I like that part of the activity.
Right, and that kind of mimics some of the things we do in a classroom. We use small groups so that students can't hide, that they are more motivated to participate. Tamela, go ahead.
I was appreciative of the access in the small group, of everyone being able to have a voice and to be able to see what everybody else was seeing. Sometimes I have doubts in myself and wondering if my kids can see exactly what I'm talking about. And in those small groups, I knew that they were all on task in that regard. So I appreciate going through that today with my small group.
Right, and as a teacher, you can see I'm scrolling through these slides here. I was watching all those slides develop. And if I saw a group that might need a little extra support because maybe their slide came together a little too quickly or a little too slowly, like I can go in and I can listen for the why that might be happening.
Exactly.
Yeah. Susan, could you tell us a little bit more about what you wrote? That was really important in the comment box.
Sure. So I realized that it gave me enough time to, if I kind of lost focus or didn't understand part of it, I could go back 30 seconds and replay, or I was watching on my own rather than, if you're in a classroom situation and you put a video on the screen, somebody might, in my case, might be watching their phone or talking to their partner, or they didn't catch it, but they don't want to tell anyone else they didn't catch it.
Right, so we give the tools to the students and give them the responsibility for it. A couple things that I wanted you to notice that were very purposeful. The images were selected. They were taken right from the video. And I even heard some groups saying, oh, if you go to the timestamp, 2 minutes and something seconds, you'll see that picture. And so because of that, this became self-checking that you could move your mouse to that spot, and it has it in 2 languages if you had your closed captioning up. Also, if you clicked on the words, for example, eggs, it will bring you to a completed Google Translate, not just an open shell, but a completed one where you could listen to it in English and you could listen to it
Huevos.
in another language. So those were both purposeful there. And at the end of the session today, I'll walk you through if you have used Google Translate before, but maybe you don't know how to link it like I did for the directions. I'm going to do a little tutorial of that at the end here. Alrighty. For our next activity, this is another breakout room, but it's a quicker one. And this is based off of the important book. If you come down to slide 36, this is one of my favorite books for a routine where students have a familiar sentence stem. There's a link for the video of the read aloud on slide 36, and there is a screenshot of that page. And I love it because the sentence stems are identical on every single page, and it really gets students to summarize and synthesize, which are that higher level blooms. You're going to take a peek at slide 36 as a group, and then you're going to move down to slide 37, and as a group, you're going to fill this out. So I'll put a couple in there so you guys know which one is yours. So you're going to fill this out as a group. Don't do it on your own. Turn on your mics and do it as a group. And one thing I should have mentioned before we got here. I did things a little out of order. Hang on. Dun, 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 dun. Give me 1 minute. So after the whole group discussion, I was supposed to say, join me on slide 35. On slide 35, I have our all of these have it, none of these have it situation. Did you know that all of these things go through some sort of metamorphosis? Some of them are complete metamorphosis, some of them are incomplete, but they all go through some phase of metamorphosis. And so my students might go and investigate that a little bit more, or they just stick with the frog or the butterfly, whichever one that they know of, and then they do the important book. So I'll put you in breakout rooms. We'll probably just have a quick 5 minutes for this, experience what it's like to fill it out, and then we'll come on back to the main room. Here's your groups.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, I think we have to come up with an idea for metamorphosis.
So it looks like on slide 38 we have a start. It is a process. Do we want to start brainstorming some other details? And does anyone have a thought about the biggest idea we could put at the top and the bottom?
I'm no science teacher, but one thing that I wonder about is it seems metamorphosis is always happening. It never ends.
Ooh. Can I put never-ending cycle? Did that capture it?
Theresa, I'm wondering, since we use Google Hangout Meet, which doesn't have these breakout rooms. Do you have any ideas how we could do something similar like this without that
Yeah, you can use Zoom. It's totally free. Make a secure site. If you talk to your technology specialist, they can help you with that. And you can do breakout rooms.
Okay.
All right, it looks
Don't we
like...
need to have a,
Oh, go ahead.
don't we need a statement at the top and the bottom, the repeated statement? What is our important thing going to be?
Oh.
Is maybe something simple, like it changes one thing to another? Or
The important thing is just repeating what you put on line 1.
It's one, like you record yourself.
Yeah.
Record a video of you reading your slide.
I wonder if we can record our voices all together as one.
That's interesting.
Different, the start.
How do we feel about that being our top and bottom lines? Oh, okay.
Welcome back, everyone, to the main room. Welcome back. Hello and welcome back. I've muted your microphone, so if you need to speak, you can go ahead and turn that on. What I hoped is to showcase a way that we use the same sentence stems for a really great summary. At this point, if you wanted to try it out, I've also included a flip grid, and it is on slide 44. That's a place where students can say, they can actually use their speech. So they're saying their slide out loud. It goes up there and they can actually listen to each other, and you'll have the opportunity to hear all of your students speaking in that slide there. So that's something cool to check out. Also below, slide 45 is another example of how you might use a graphic organizer with images. And in this example on slide 45, there was an actual butterfly growing in the class, and the students could fill it out and then identify where that butterfly is at the current moment. Slide 46, I told you I would give you more templates for matching, so there's a math one for matching. Slide 47 is a which one, or an I Spy game. You can use it in any content area. Just put 9 pictures in, and it has students talking to one another to say, like, I spy something in an array. It has yellow on it, and so they're using just ordinary language and also content language. Slides 48 through the end are all the different templates from today. And I'm going to spend the rest of the time talking about those virtual parking lot questions. Thanks for spending your Saturday or Sunday with me, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you learned some strategies that are useful in sorts, matching, and can be especially useful to English language learners. And I look forward to seeing many of you in another session. All right, on to slide 72. Setting up the Google Translate to work for anything. What I'm going to do is share my screen. Sharing now so that you can see what I do. All right, if I want to have this question here linked to Google Translate, I can copy the question. I can go to translate.google.com. You want to actually go to the translate.google.com, its own website, as opposed to just typing in translate to the browser. If I did this, it has this nice little tool here, but it's not linkable. I want it to be linkable. So translate.google.com. I can paste what I had. It will translate it to other languages. I can select, there's a ton of languages here. I can read it in English.
Do you know how to set up translation when working?
I can read it in the other language.
¿Sabes cómo configurar la
And the best part is now I have a URL that's specific. I can copy that URL, link it here, and paste that URL. Now when you click that, it'll take you right to the translation, right where it will give it to you in English and another language, and it will read it to you. So it's already completed for the student. Is there a tool on Google for text-to-speech? There is some tools. I have a visual disability and I use Read Write. It's a really fantastic tool, and that's just what I use to read articles and stuff to me. I'm sure there's other ones out there. I don't have as much experience in them. I think there's even, you could try this one, voice type speaker notes. I haven't really played with it though. I'm having challenges with my pacing. I find that our learning community cannot get through as much content. Do you have some tips? Yes, I definitely do have some tips for this. Direct teaching, while it might seem effective in a face-to-face classroom, you don't always know what all your students are listening to and if they're fully engaged in it. When you're online, you see a lot more of the engagement. You see them moving around to the different slides. And so because of that affordance, I would give them very interactive things where they need to manipulate it and then they need to summarize it. You don't need to do as much quantity online to know that each student has it because they all have a voice. And so if you gave them some sort of sort like today and some kind of summarization like today, even if they are using language from other students, in the end, they complete their own. And I find that students get more quality learning through less time online. That's just my experience, but also take it slow. As you're developing this, you're going to learn your own style and your own way of doing it. How do you get students to collaborate on an activity like the frog life cycle? So if you want them to create their own, one thing I could have done is given you each a slide. Group 1, I want you to do grasshoppers. Group 2, bees. Group 3, scorpions. Group 4, oh, the butterfly was easy, ants. And so they have to start searching for YouTube videos first until they find a really good one. And they just write in the chat box like, ooh, I found this one. And they start chatting back and forth. When they agree on a video, then they look for timestamps like, hey, you find stage 1, 2, and 3, and I'll find 4, 5, and 6. And they start to kind of divide and conquer that work. But they're also responsible for each other, so they'll check their timestamps too. How did you get the announcements to pop up for all groups? Oh, in your chat box, you have a couple features. Yeah, you can see my, you can't see my screen. 1 minute. Let me share this part. It's going to do a hall of mirrors, but you only need to pay attention to that white bar. The chat box has several features in it, including everyone, where you can see messages to every person in the class. Moderators, where you can send a private message to just me, especially if someone in your group is being a little inappropriate and you might need a teacher to jump in there. You can send me a private message and then I go right in without announcement or anything. And also, if you're in a breakout room, there will be another option that says like group 3. So you can chat with just your group, or you can chat with the whole group or your teacher. If kids have a tablet, I'm finding that when they move from Collaborate to Google Slides, they cannot hear me anymore. Michelle, I haven't tried that yet. I will definitely give that a try and see if I have an answer for you. When I do, I will post it out, but if you want to send me an email with that exact question, I can try and see if I can figure it out.
Okay, thanks.
I'm moving from California to Maryland and don't know the layout of the ed field. Does Maryland accept the math specialist program from GMU? I do have an answer from that. So the math specialist program at Mason gives you an endorsement of a math specialist. The endorsement is a Virginia endorsement, but there's often reciprocity. And what you can do is send me an email and I will get you all the like fine print on that and what is involved there. So whoever wrote that, go ahead and shoot me an email and I will get you a very detailed and nice answer. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your Sunday.
Thanks, you too, Teresa.